Hello and welcome to an Independence Day edition of Young Turks. I'm Shireen Bhan. As an early stage venture, you can often find yourselves in situations where you don't know what you don't know. And over the past 13 years, we've received several requests from budding entrepreneurs asking us to help them with the basics of starting up and navigating the path to scaling up their ventures. So in the past, we brought you multiple tutorials with the who's who of corporate India. Nandan Nilekani, Dr. Naresh Trehan, Sachin Bansal of Flipkart, KV Kamath, Shiv Nadar, and many more. But this time around, we've given the traditional tutorial a twist on the Young Turks Mentor. Our mentors will deep dive into your business plans, put themselves in your shoes and advise you on the possible routes you can explore as an early stage startup. Our first mentor in this special series is a young Turk from 2005, the founder and CEO of MakeMyTrip, Deep Kalra. From surviving the dot-com bust to listing on the Nasdaq and emerging as one of India's first internet companies to hit the billion-dollar mark, Deep Kalra's MakeMyTrip epitomizes the rigors of making it big. A pioneer in the Indian online travel space and an enterprise where the innovation wheel never stops spinning, MakeMyTrip.com today has 50% of the market share. A little over 13 years into his own entrepreneurial journey, Deep today plays mentor to 3 early-stage startups on YT Mentor. Narayan's second startup, Hellocard, helps one network without a business card. The mobile app allows users to create an online identity and manage contacts by creating a virtual directory. Having completed beta testing, Narayan needs to figure out a way to monetize the product.
Now, what I think you need to think through is what can disrupt, looking forward or looking at what's happening in the US with wearables or anywhere else, what might disrupt Hellocard's market.
Okay.
So even if you get a market today, but if tomorrow someone does something much simpler.
Yep.
And by the way, it could be even Google who wants to do this. It could be Samsung who wants to do this. Because it's something which is a lovely application on your phone. So that's that. Also, I think be careful of one thing. Not everyone wants to give mobile numbers.
Yep.
Because it becomes invasive. Like I'm happy to give my email ID, but I'd rather give my landline.
Yeah. What revenue model do you think is really apt when you're focusing on the Indian market? Is it subscription-based model? Is it in-app purchases or paid app?
I think for anything which is going to have very high usage, you can look at 2 models. So you can look at a media model. So advertising on mobile is getting more and more popular.
Yep.
So every time someone sees you've taken 100 cards on the conference. When you look at those cards or later they go away straight away into this thing.
Yep.
Powered by Hellocard might be an interesting thing. You have a great name. I think initially to get people to pay for this will be a stumbling block.
Very difficult.
Even iTunes at one time struggled to get 99 cents. So you got to make money from advertisers who are less sensitive, not from the individual. From the individual, even if you were to price it at, I think 10 paisa, which won't do anything for you, might actually become a hindrance.
So you think it's always better to focus on building the traction initially than focusing more on the revenue model like Snapchat and WhatsApp?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing you need to focus on is building a great product. So do beta, do testing, put it out there. Once you are reasonably sure, you'll never be 100% sure of your product, then focus on traction, then focus on revenue.
So, and what do you think of the premium model? Say, as in we have few features which will be a lot of useful, and will be people willing to pay for the features, and is it a good revenue model?
Like what features?
One thing which we are thinking is if you want to have the Hellocard number as in depending on your choice, so then you have to go for a premium model.
But what do you get disproportionate with the Hellocard? I think that might in fact become your stumbling block. Think premium when you get users.
Okay.
But try to use an existing user ID. Just use their email.
What do you think is the right time to go for funding, and what's your opinion on bootstrapping?
So for you, it's B2C. Unless you're content by doing, so you have one more path, right? You could do partnerships.
Yep.
So let's say you go and you manage to convince one of the big, either telcos or OEMs that, hey, take this as a pre-burnt app.
Yep.
Now, or put it on your store. Then you can do a rev share model. Then you can bootstrap. And that might be a smart way to grow. Yeah. So crack one big guy.
One, okay.
And, you know, it'll be wow to get a Samsung. But let's say you don't get Samsung because they're market leaders. It'll be great to get even number 2, 3, and 4. If I were you and I were in your shoes, firstly, I'd feel very proud of what you've achieved being a student. I think it's fantastic at this young age. You haven't even actually, you're not even qualified fully to work, but you're still working. But the few top things I would really focus on now that you know that is make it as seamless as possible. Secondly, test it out a lot with people, right? I would deprioritize the premium, but I would definitely, your core product should be very strong. Try to strike an alliance. So get one of the telcos, which will be harder, but maybe one of the OEMs. And thirdly, I think one of you in the team has to start thinking around, you know, what will disrupt us as we do this.
Okay.
So really very, very, you know, actively scouring the bigger environment, because it's a seamless world. If there's a better app which is emerging in Japan, it'll be here tomorrow.
BlackProp Tree develops drones for aerial security surveillance. Having tied up for a pilot with Zuari Industries in the Forest Department of Goa for surveillance and mapping of mangroves, the venture is evaluating what business model it should adopt and how to go about a possible fundraise.
The other thing I'd like for you to keep in mind is competition, not only what's here in India today, but what's there overseas. It's a global world, it's fast changing, it's coming here, so what you've got today might be best in class, I hope, but doesn't mean it'll be best in class tomorrow.
Like we are facing some difficulty in finding the right mentors and understanding how to approach them. If you could just help us in.
So there are a ton of people who I keep in touch with who are working on similar systems abroad, but then they do not really know what the situation is in India.
So definitely one strong tech mentor is a great idea of what's going on, and overseas is an important thing where people are on cutting edge. You have to impress them with what you built. There are enough people who are willing to, and your profs will help you to reach. Sometimes you need connects, but really what is to sell for itself is you got to tell them all the time, give them updates, send them YouTube links, the videos that you built. We are doing this, we are doing this, we need your guidance. You know, the most precious commodity or in short supply is time, especially for people who are busy, they're successful. So you'll have to make it less onerous on that time. You'll say, listen, we won't take more than, you know, 1 hour or 2 hours a month. The same logic will apply even for the business.
We sell it as a service-based product or just a product?
So that's a great point, and I had that in mind even before you asked. I think you should be, actually I was thinking you should be selling, positioning this rather as a solution.
As a solution.
And why I say that is because the moment you do it as product, and one of you said we want to be a database company, we want to be this. I'm not sure if it's a database company or it's a one-stop shop,
exactly.
surveillance solution for you.
Exactly, yeah.
Why that's important is if you do product, someone else can come and take your market. But if you do solution, your whole focus is what is my customer's problem. So going back to point number one, customer's problem is this, therefore this is my offering.
Okay.
So I would focus on these key things for sure. So guys, I think you're onto something very, very exciting. It's one of the you know, more exciting things I've heard about, read about. You know, talking to you guys, feel very excited. Of course, you can't help but think of Three Idiots, which is one level, but then all the drone technology which is being used. So in a very relevant space, but it's also a high-tech space, as you know. So that means the rate of change is super fast. So Moore's law is at play. All the laws are at play. Everything is changing very fast. So you, Sagar, have to focus like a laser on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So one part is your product has always got to be the best, right? From a business point of view, I don't know if it's Praful or Rohan, whoever's or both of you are focusing on it. I think you've got to now pick people which are big companies which are low-hanging fruit. So which you think will convert early. And the third would be position yourself as a solutions company, which you're already thinking of, a solutions company end-to-end, not one product.
FindMyStay.com is a reverse auction hotel booking platform that allows customers to book hotels at the price they wish to pay. A year into operations and with a good base of repeat customers, the duo want to understand how they can work better with hotels to scale up the venture.
Hotels have been the focus of all OTAs. So what do you see as a game changer within this category?
There's actually a virtuous cycle in play when it comes to hotels and OTAs, which means the more you do with hotels, the more they're willing to actually partner closely, sometimes give you more margin. You can grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
So Booking.com in Europe is the place you go to find a hotel room.
Right.
Correct.
MakeMyTrip today in India is hopefully the place you go to find a hotel room. But there are always, there are variants of it which are available. So I think you have to think through. So if you're saying what's going to be the next disruptor, it might be within hotels. I think what's happening on the cab space is really exciting.
Yeah.
In fact, your concept of using excess inventory, perishable inventory, might work for cabs. Your challenge, according to me, will be how will people find you?
Right.
Because I think you will manage to get the hotels.
Right.
You'll get good deals.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge for any B2C business is how do I get customers? Yeah, and that's probably your next question.
That's right.
So what's the specific challenge you have there?
The challenge is how do we achieve that scale, because advertising is becoming very expensive.
Very expensive.
As an agency, we never realized, the value of clients' money. But today, we certainly do.
Yeah.
So, when we started out, and, I should tell Simran, let's take a hoarding at the airport. 10 lakh ki to hai. So we said, stop thinking like an agency.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Recommended.
So now,
I would actually, if you're bootstrapping yourself right now,
yeah.
I would actually look at partnering a high volume channel who wants this edge. So it could be a horizontal. You might create, I might be creating competition for ourselves, but that's okay. I think that's fine. Good competitors are good to have. So you might want to work with a horizontal who has tons of traffic. Supposing you don't manage to strike a deal. And let's look at the other scenario. Keywords is the way to go. Because while keywords are expensive, they convert the best. Be highly specific on keywords and try to discover the long tail more and more and more.
Yeah, that's
What are customers really looking for? It's not always find me a cheap hotel room, because everyone's bidding on cheap hotel room in Goa. Is it in Kalangut? Is it, great deal last minute in Baga?
So within the hotel segment, what are the biggest challenges bigger players are seeing in terms of supplier relationships?
So folks like us?
Yeah.
So from MakeMyTrip's point of view, I think we have found it took a long time to crack open the hotel market in India. I think our fundamental change was when we started thinking partnership. So each time I'm meeting our hotel team, the market managers, we have a large team of market managers, and I'm telling them, get into the shoes of your hotel partner, your GM, whatever. Understand the GM's problems, understand the owner's problems, the small hotel, and solve that person's problems.
Right.
And the moment you start doing that and understanding their economics, their pressures, their problems, everything changes. I would firstly ensure that I have got reasonable offering. I've got reasonable coverage with depth. So great pricing, reasonable coverage. So you should put a certain minimum. Less than 30% is not a deal.
Right.
Just say, or 25% or whatever. There's no deal less than that, right? And good coverage, because you don't want to say we only offer 5 destinations. In mobile, so definitely focus on mobile secondly, which you're doing. While you do the website, I think you should start thinking about the app too. The beauty of the app is very simple. Once you have an app, you don't have to reacquire the customer. Because even if you have a repeat rate of 50% you're reacquiring. And you're again spending money to reacquire that guy.
Correct.
Right? Imagine, so you're doing that all over again, and that's the crazy part about this world. So you don't want to do that. Once you have an app, you can keep, and you can give them alerts and you can do deals. The third, I think for you, given that you've chosen the bootstrap, I think a big alliance would help a lot. So do a partnership with a horizontal, do a partnership, that'll really help, because otherwise you'll end up spending a lot of money if you don't do that.
Well, Simran and Rohit, that is Deep at his candid best, and you probably want to pick up on the hint. It is time for us to take a break, but coming up, Deep sits down with our entrepreneurs for a no-holds-barred chat where he reveals what his first big KRA at MakeMyTrip was. It is not what you expect it to be, so keep watching the Young Turks Mentor.